right. Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the LFO Experience, Love, Forgiveness, and Oneness. We have a special guest today, Corena Hammer from Infusion Yoga and Pilates Studio in Bountiful, Utah. She's here to talk to us about our upcoming event on March 22nd. The LFO Experience is going to be held at her studio from 1 to 7. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about what she does and her studio. So I'd like to welcome you. Thanks for being here today, Corena.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, we're so lucky to have you. So can you tell us a little bit about your studio and what you've got going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So yoga chased me in my life. It's not something that I actually started pursuing through a series of events, a sickness that I had, that I wasn't getting better from. I was a triathlete, and I lost my flexibility from the sickness, and I saw Madonna on Oprah doing yoga. Inspired me to get a yoga tape in the gym I was working at, started a yoga program, and the night before the first yoga class, that teacher got appendicitis, and they called everyone on the list, every aerobics, body pump, step and jab teacher they had. I was the only one who'd done it in the video, and that's how yoga started finding me. And every time I tried to move or get away from it, I actually deepened or thickened into my experience with it. And one day I finally sat down and said, this is what I'm supposed to do. All these other things that I'm sidetracked with that are fun and cool, this is the thing that the universe keeps sending to me and making it easy for me to work with it, and I loved it. People who were showing up to my classes were interested in personal growth and transformation, and I love that. And one day I felt like the gym wasn't the right experience for me, just in that I didn't want to contain what I was saying or teaching to meet somebody else's agenda. I wanted to say and teach what I felt inspired to say and teach. And so I opened my own studio, and it's been a journey. It's my dharma, or my calling in life, and it's been a great experience. I've loved it.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a great story, and that is usually how that works. So we get pulled to our destiny if we're not listening, huh? So that's a beautiful story. So tell us more about your studio. You've got yoga there and Pilates and...
Yeah, we teach a variety of yoga classes, and our Pilates is Pilates reformer training. And I was taught by Kim Lee, who was actually Madonna's teacher for 7 years. I think that was her longest relationship with a man, was her Pilates teacher. Oh. But so I certified through him, and with yoga, I actually run 3 yoga schools, a 200-hour registered school, a 300, and a 500-hour school. Oh, wow. And I believe in a lot of different types of yoga. I love power yoga, but I don't think that's the only type of yoga that we should do. There are subtle qualities of yoga that we can receive in yin classes or in chakra classes or gentle classes. And so I have a wide variety because I believe so many different types of yoga can be of such value to us.
Right.
We have a wide variety on our schedule.
Now, so the school, is that right in your yoga studio, or did you do that somewhere else, your schools that you're talking about?
The school is at the yoga studio, okay. All 3 of them. And so I teach the teachers, basically. And I developed the inspiration for our studio. I carry the vision for that. In that when I'm teaching these schools, I'm also looking for teachers to come out of there that are going to support what we do at the studio. And so I feel blessed that I run that school because I'm always handpicking the best of the best teachers. So it's been a phenomenal thing for us.
Well, because from my understanding now, I just got into a yoga. It was more of a brain yoga. It's called Dawn Yoga. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. Are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I just got into that, which obviously all yoga is probably a pathway to enlightenment, right? Would you say?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's at the basis of what it is, yoga is going to change the inner terrain. And what you do on the outside in order to obtain that can look extremely different. But the root of it is the same. It's going to give you the same effects.
Oh, yeah. Because I was wondering, because we're doing a lot of this tapping in the dawn yoga. And, I'm thinking, okay, then I understand this is a pathway too. But then I was watching some other things on yoga and how all these different moves and how, it moves you really powerfully into enlightenment. So I'm looking forward to having you show us some stuff for that when we come up there to Salt Lake. Do you have an idea of what you're going to be doing when we do our event, the LFO Experience?
I'm sorry, you cut out just on that last part. What was that question one more time?
Okay. Do you have any idea of what you are going to be teaching, what kind of yoga when we come for the LFO Experience?
Yeah, I think what I would like to do is some pranayama, which is breath-directed work, and some very gentle postures. So even if you have no yoga experience or no fitness experience at all, it's all very obtainable. It can be done in the chair. We're not going to be sitting around or putting our foot behind our head. So some very gentle postures to open and align the nervous system so that the messages that we're receiving from the other speakers has the least amount of congestion for us to be able to really digest that information. So I'm just trying to clear us through some breath work, some light, very light, easy postures, so that we're preparing ourselves for what's being offered.
Okay, perfect, because that's exactly what we need, obviously. So this will be beautiful. I'm excited. Because I think the first thing we do at this event, just so you know, is we do the Diksha blessing, just to get people to put the energy right in the room and to start it off. And of course, I don't know if you know about Diksha, but it is a pathway to enlightenment also. Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, is it? My understanding of it is it's a oneness blessing. Is that maybe a good way to say it?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. And it's also, it like helps people start breaking their old patterns and move towards that oneness, which all of the things that we're going to do there do the same thing, and that is the goal for all of us probably, is enlightenment. So your yoga is going to fit in perfectly for this. We're very excited.
Great.
Did you have a question?
I told a story this morning in yoga when I was teaching about there were some Tibetan monks that had found out the Chinese were coming to kill them, so they packed everything that they could to relocate. But they had this beautiful golden Buddha that was far too heavy for them to carry, and so they covered it in mud. And they continue to be chased by the Chinese, so they completely relocated. And years and years later, other Tibetan monks decided, we'll go back to this area and we'll, relocate and develop this community again. And they wanted to, there was this cool mud Buddha there, and they wanted to move it, and they found it was very heavy, and when one of them went to lift it up, a piece of it chipped off, and it revealed that it was actually golden underneath. And I think that everything that we'll be doing in this event is taking the mud off, because the golden pieces of who we are already there. So the yoga and the Diksha and all that, I feel like that's done to prepare to receive what's already within us so that it can resonate with us.
Exactly. That's a beautiful story. I like that. So it's my understanding, too, you're working with other big companies on your yoga, or?
Yeah, I recently was hired by Duke University, kind of it was actually a stretch for Duke to hire a yoga girl to be part of an event. Duke University has a continuing education department that is one of the top 10 in the nation that other companies come in and hire. And Nike hired Duke to put on an event for them so that their top 35 out of 50,000 executives could receive cutting-edge training. And the part that I played, that Duke hired me for, was not only to be teaching them yoga in the morning, but also to give them 30 minutes during the day of information about how breaking up our stressful day into sections and resetting our nervous system, unwiring from our common patterns of wired and tired, can actually ignite the creative side, so that we're more the architect of our destiny rather than being run by our agenda for the day and time. So the new philosophy for Nike is energy management rather than time management. And I followed a professor from MIT that had taught at MIT for 17 years. And in my section that he was listening to, later he and I talked, and he was like, this is fascinating, and wanted to know more. So I think the thing that a lot of us that have been interested in growth and transformation already know, other companies and other maybe more corporate world is starting to really investigate. They're very interested in it. So it was a success. It was very good. I may come back and work with this team again. So I think working with Duke and Nike was a blessing for me.
Well, it's a blessing, yes, for you, but also for the world to see that, this is breaking into those type of places that hold such a tight control usually and create so much stress. And when we break in and teach them the new spiritual way, it just makes a more beautiful planet too.
Absolutely. Daniel Pink's book, A Whole New Mind, is really all about the things that we used to think would secure us, having jobs like attorneys and accounting and things like that. That's really broken way for the new age of connection. That's going to be the new thing that's missing in our world. And it's because there's so much technology available that even though Facebook can connect us in one way, it disconnects us in another. Texting can connect us more rapidly in one way, but in another we've lost connection with that other human. And so large companies are starting to incorporate meditation and yoga and mindfulness, awareness. Places like Google, Facebook, General Mills all have programs for their executives to incorporate mindful awareness. And it was on the cover of Time magazine while I was at Duke University, and so it was a nice coincidence, to see that large corporations understanding that our connectedness is what keeps us healthy, having a meaningful life, and progresses us in a way that technology and other stuff, the trophy life that we thought would create happiness, isn't creating happiness. It's our connections that do that.
Absolutely. And I think that is the whole philosophy of doing what, like you, my vision was the LFO, and it just came to me and I just saw it. And because I had done Diksha, actually, was my first opening, and I went, there's something really big here. And it is about connecting all of us, the whole planet, regardless of religion or race or background. And the more that we can connect from a spiritual level, in a spiritual place with obviously love and opening our hearts, we raise that vibration of the planet and the connectedness, with each other, and we let go of some of that old stuff, like you say, that keeps us bound actually to a lifestyle of stress and frustration and, emptiness, in my opinion. So that's kind of what the LFO we want to start doing in different cities, is connecting the light workers in each city with each other, and then start putting out this connectedness energy, and raising the vibration by doing things like opening groups of people similar to what you're doing with these corporations, which now it makes me think we should be doing this LFO with these corporations, because it is going to open those people up, and it's going to change their relationships and the way they do business and the way they feel.
Right, and I think our stress levels are actually promoting what we're teaching, because our stress levels on average out in mass consciousness are at a breaking point for so many people. Carl Yeager, who broke the sound barrier, said right before he broke the sound barrier is when the car shook the most, or when the cockpit shook the most. And I think that we are in a place of sometimes literal shaking from our nervous system being so continually fired, and our nervous systems are feeling so raw. And I think that shaking, that mental shakiness, that emotional shakiness, that physical shakiness, that's all a direction for us. That's pointing us to, this isn't working anymore, and I need to do this differently. And I see people who are able to make that transformation over to shifting their energy. It also shifts the vibration of everybody who surrounds them. And so all it takes is one person doing it differently, feeling it differently, seeing miracles in the small things, and then others around them can begin to shift too. And I think that that's what we're promoting this event.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and that's exactly what you're saying is how I personally have felt too. I'm sure you have too, where you feel like you are shaking from the inside when you're wanting to change, you know. I mean, I felt my energy actually shaking like that before.
Yes.
And I read this quote the other day about, you know, when you plant a seed, before it can flower, it has to break apart and crumble. And that's what we're all trying to do within, not all, I mean, but that is kind of what we're trying to do with the LFO, is help other people, you know, break that seed open and, you know, become the beautiful being that they are to be, flower, whatever you want to call it. But that's the goal, and it is starting to shift. And I like what you say, one person is, of course, the beginning, you know, one person at a time. Michelle, who does the underground radio, she has a show on her thing called the 100 Monkey program, you know, and it talks, if you know the 100 Monkey effect, it does talk about when you get 100 people together, like they had 100 monkeys, that's when shift can start taking place in other places by you doing the work in one place, the shift in one place. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, and I think that I think it's out in mass consciousness as it's more normal now to be working with energy.
Yes.
And to understand what even shifting means. Like 15 years ago, I kept telling people, I feel like there's this big shift coming, and people would look at me with weird eyes.
Right, I know that.
I don't know what you're talking about. And now you can commonly talk about that, and people get it.
Right.
So when we gather together, it does something for us personally, because we feel the value of being in a tribe that knows what we know. And then in addition to that, we're so much more powerful when we're in a tribe. And so I think the vibration raises higher, more easily, more quickly, and it sticks.
Yes, I agree with you completely. Because that was the whole vision of the LFO, was to bring these groups and, of course, grow them and do them in different areas to ground in the energy in these different places, so the energy does stick and it spreads. And, you know, and doing group events, you know, especially a series of them in a row, and it's kind of wild. When you probably have had this experience, I'm sure, with your yoga schooling, but when you do a series of events like we're going to do, I mean, you're on cloud 9. Your vibration is so high. It's like you're high on this energy for 2 days.
It's so true, and because we're doing Diksha, and because we're doing some pranayama with these simple yoga postures, we'll create space in our bodies for it to stick. I think there was this old thing where people would go to like a motivational speaker.
Right.
And it would be a great idea, and then they would go out into the real world and not know how to do it. And I think it's so critical that you're taking different areas and you are going to places where when people experience this, they'll have an ability to connect with another,
right,
even after the event's over. Right. So we're creating space within ourselves for changes to take place, and so it's creating forward movement instead of, oh, remember we went to that thing a long time ago and it was really cool.
Yeah, because
we're creating an actual change or a shift in the long run for people.
And that is so absolutely true. I am so excited that we are doing it and that you're a part of this. And the people that we have that are going to be a part of this, I really cannot wait, because it's going to be beautiful. And each time it will be, because that is what we're doing. It's getting in your body. And I remember going to this event, which I won't say the name of it, I don't want to get in trouble, but I had gone to this event, and it was more of a therapy thing. You were going back and forth, and it was helpful. I'm not saying it wasn't. But I kept thinking to myself, no, to change, you've got to do something with energy. We can't just be talking this out. Though that brings a little bit of change, of course. But it didn't stick with me. And I kept thinking, energy, you've got to be doing this different, And then, it was several years later that this LFO idea came up. And the idea of it sticking with you is, because you try all these things, and if they don't stick, you never change.
Right.
And we need that.
Right, you're just an armchair quarterback watching it from the sidelines. You've got to get in the game and create the shift and be with it. And you've got to experience something. You have to literally experience something in your body, which is that energetic movement, in order for you to experience what you're going to do out in your life differently. And so I think that you're doing a great job in creating a support system that will be available for people in this area once the event's over as well, which would be great.
I think, and that's the idea that came to me. And, it's an up and down roller coaster, as anything new is, but it's so beautiful when it takes place, because that is exactly what happens, is people become acquainted with new people and new healings, and it just takes them further and into their paths, and it helps them, assist them to do this. And that's why we want to do it in different cities all over, so that we do that for a bunch of different places and connect this through the LFO in all the different places, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And so if we it's kind of a home base that we can create in each community.
Yes.
So that I don't have to fly to Los Angeles or Las Vegas or New York to reconnect with those that are of like minds.
Right.
And I think those of us that are, I remember hearing Deepak Chopra say one time, I'm part of a transitional team. And I was thinking, oh my God, I am too. I don't even know what he said, but I'm part of that team too. Like, it resonated in me, because I've been like the oddball, whether it's in my family or in my community. I've always been the oddball. And as soon as he said that, I knew why I was the oddball, and why 15 years ago when I was telling people, there's like this huge shift coming, can you feel it? And I had no frame of reference for what that meant, but I knew it inside of me. And they looked at me like, you're really cool, but we don't understand what you're saying.
Exactly.
No, I was like, that's why they didn't get it. I was part of a transitional team, and my job is to be on the forefront of it.
Exactly.
And so finding those other people in this group, you'll find other people that whoever shows up is part of that transitional team.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, I get nervous sometimes, because when people register late, they don't realize, this is a big thing for me to drive to another city and do this. But the fact is, whoever's supposed to be there will be there. And I do know that, And you meet the right, perfect people that are probably at this transitional level, which is absolutely true. I love that. I was the same way. I didn't get to meet you 15 years ago. I met you once, I think, and through Karen. But
yes,
I knew of you and always heard wonderful things. So it's like, I'm so excited that I finally get to work with you, and we get to share this experience, because we have a lot in common, in the sense that, we were in it back then, and now everybody's into it. But we are still bringing great changes, I believe. I know you are.
Absolutely. And it's nice. It's so fulfilling for those of us who've done work, in our lives. We've done our inner work and some outer work. It's so nice to come together with others who get us. It's just so validating, and it's at an energetic level. It's very fulfilling to be around other people who are like, yeah, I know what you're talking about, or, oh yeah, I was in that place for a while, and here's what I did, and this really worked for me. Just to be around others who are really working the edges of that transitional phase, it can be so fulfilling.
Yeah, and you can make such, true connections with people that, are really doing this, and that is such a beautiful thing, too. The people I've met, and I'm sure you have too, many, and it's just going to grow and grow, especially like at this event. You'll meet some amazing people.
Yeah, absolutely. And people who show up in the workshop, I think, can end up being lifelong friends, because it's so nice to meet somebody who's a mirror for the work that you find so validating and important.
Oh, yes, I agree completely. Okay, we're running out of time, but so I want you to go ahead and tell us your website and how people can get in contact with you.
Sure. So they can find us on the internet at bodyinfusion.com. That's our website. We're on Facebook, Infusion Yoga and Pilates Studio, and is the symbol for and on that one. And also on Facebook, Corena Hammer, CorenaHammer. They can connect in any of those ways.
Okay, perfect. Well, hopefully we'll have some people that want to show up next weekend at your studio to do the LFO Experience. They can register up until tomorrow, and it'll be $95. For late people who are going to register late, it's going to be $115. It'll be $20 more if you're going to register late. So please contact us at the LFOexperience.net and get registered for this event. And it is on many of our Facebooks, so anyone that's connected, let's get you registered so you don't miss out on this amazing experience that will definitely change.
And here's the thing that I've found about paying money into a workshop or an event. As soon as you pay your money, you begin to receive the benefits. I've done so many events where as soon as I actually really committed, the thing that I'm hoping I will be receiving or shifting or moving towards, that already begins to happen for me. Because money is simply an energy. So when you move your energy of commitment in, then the universe knows we are saying yes. And so then the universe starts providing that. So I think not just financially, because it's a great opportunity to receive the discount, but also you begin to receive the benefits of being committed into it.
Oh, I love
so there's another layer there. Yeah.
I love that. That was a great explanation. Thank you so much for being with us today, and look forward to meeting with you next week.
Okay, thanks, Xandra.
All right, thank you. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everybody, for listening. Have a great day.